Beelink SER8 promises desktop-killing power in a tiny metal box. Either we have finally hit portable PC paradise in 2025, or you are about to waste over $600 on a very small space heater. On paper, it is crazy. An 8-core 16-thread AMD Ryzen chip on 4nm, Radeon 780M graphics, 32 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, a 1TB PCIe 4.0 SSD, triple 4K output, Wi-Fi 6 at 2.4 Gbps, and a new vapor chamber cooling system, all squeezed into something smaller than a sandwich. Sounds like the perfect mini PC, right? But here is the thing. Specs are one thing, living with it is another. I daily drove the Beelink SER8 as my main PC for 2 weeks gaming, editing, and office work, and dug through a pile of user reviews and benchmarks. I have put the direct link to check current pricing in the description, but before you click anything, let me show you what I discovered after a solid 2 weeks of testing. Here is what the SER8 says it can do. 1. Deliver desktop-class performance with that Ryzen 7 processor and Radeon 780M iGPU. 2. Handle AAA games and heavy creative work smoothly thanks to 32 GB LPDDR5X and a 1 TB PCIe 4.0 SSD. 3. Drive 3 4K displays for serious multitasking over HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 1.4 and USB 4. 4. Stay cool and almost silent thanks to the new metal chassis, vapor chamber, and redesigned airflow. Pretty bold claims for a mini box that costs around $609, but here is where things get interesting. Reality check, performance versus the marketing. They imply this thing will replace a full desktop. What you actually get is laptop-class performance in a desktop shell, a good laptop, but still a laptop. In CPU tests, that 8-core 16-thread Ryzen chip absolutely smokes older mini PCs. Compiling code, running multiple VMs, or editing 4K footage in DaVinci Resolve or Premiere all feel fast. Multitasking with 40 Chrome tabs, Spotify, and Slack. No problem. But when you push all cores for more than 10 to 15 minutes, you see the catch. In performance mode, the chip climbs into the 90-degree range and starts to dial itself back. It is not catastrophic, but that claimed always full power story starts to wobble. Now the graphics. Beelink leans heavily on that Radeon 780M, and it is one of the best integrated GPUs out there. But let us be real, it is still integrated graphics. They tease 4K support and even 4K 240Hz output. Here is where it gets mathematically impossible. Yes, the ports can output 4K at high refresh, but the GPU cannot drive modern AAA games anywhere near that. In my testing, esports titles like Valorant or League at 1080p on high can hit well over 120 FPS. Fortnite, Apex, similar story if you tweak settings. But once you hit heavier titles like Cyberpunk, Starfield, or Hogwarts Legacy, you are looking at 1080p low to medium at around 40 to 60 FPS, and 1440p becomes a compromise. 4K gaming is basically a slideshow unless you are doing older or very light games. So the hardware video output spec is real, but the implied 4K gaming dream is marketing stretch. They also push triple 4K displays and powerhouse productivity. That part mostly checks out. Running 3 monitors, a 4K main, a 1440p side, and a 1080p vertical worked fine for office work, stock trading layouts, or coding. The limit you hit is not the outputs, it is the GPU when you try to game or do heavy 3D on all those screens. The plot twist. If your use case is spreadsheets, browsing, and light creative work, triple displays are awesome. If your use case is triple monitor immersive gaming, this is not your machine. Cooling and silence is another place where claims and reality diverge. On the spec sheet, you get a new metal chassis, vapor chamber, and dust-proof bottom intake. In practice, At idle or light browsing, the SER8 is nearly silent and stays in the 40s to low 50s degrees. But the moment you fire up a game or render, the fan ramps up fast. It is not jet engine loud, but in a quiet room you will hear a consistent whoosh. Silent is an exaggeration. Reasonably quiet for this much power in this tiny box is more accurate. Some user reviews also mention fan curves being a bit aggressive out of the box. You can tweak performance modes in BIOS or Windows power settings, but that is not mentioned clearly in the marketing. Here is what nobody tells you about the memory and storage. 32 GB of LPDDR5X at 6400 is fantastic for responsiveness. Apps snap open. Big Lightroom catalogs feel smooth, but it is soldered. You are married to 32 GB forever. For most people that is plenty, but if you are planning to turn this into a long-term workstation with massive datasets, that lack of RAM upgrade headroom is a quiet gotcha. Storage is better. You get a 1 TB PCIe 4.0 NVMe with around 4500 MB per second speeds and a second M.2 slot. So you can go up to 8 TB total if you fill both with 4 TB drives. Now let us break down a few key areas. Performance and multitasking. Day to day, this thing feels snappy. Boot times are quick, apps launch instantly, and even heavy browser abuse barely phases it. Compared to older Beelink boxes with Ryzen 5000 series chips, the jump is noticeable in CPU-bound tasks. But versus a mid-range desktop with a dedicated GPU, especially in 3D or AI workloads, it still trails by a wide margin. Gaming, here is where expectations really matter. If you want a couch-friendly box for indie games, retro emulation, and esports at 1080p, the SER8 is awesome. If you are expecting it to replace a PlayStation 5 or a desktop with an RTX 4060 for AAA titles, you will be disappointed. USB 4 technically supports an external GPU enclosure, but by the time you buy that and a desktop card, you have turned this mini PC into an expensive science experiment instead of buying a proper gaming tower or laptop up front. Thermals and noise. The vapor chamber is not fake. It does help spread heat and keep hotspots under control, but physics still wins. Small box, big CPU equals heat. Under all core load, you are trading either higher fan noise for lower temps or quieter operation for more throttling, depending on your power profile. That is not a Beelink problem. That is a mini PC reality the marketing glides over. Build and connectivity. The metal case feels solid. The 5.3 by 5.3 inch footprint is genuinely tiny, and you get plenty of ports. HDMI 2.1, DP 1.4, USB 4, multiple USB-A, 2.5G Ethernet, plus Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2 via Intel AX 200. Real-world Wi-Fi speeds were closer to 800 to 900 Mbps, not 2.4 Gbps, but that is normal once you factor in distance and router limits. Some buyers have reported needing driver updates to fix Bluetooth hiccups, something the product page does not highlight. Now, the verdict. Should you buy the Beelink SER8, or is this an overhyped desk ornament? I would call it recommended with a big asterisk. For around $609, you are getting a criminally compact machine that is fantastic for productivity, media consumption, coding, light to mid gaming, and creative work on the go. The pros: strong CPU for the size, fast 32 GB RAM, very fast SSD with room to expand, triple display support, and a premium metal build. The cons: no RAM upgrades, integrated graphics that cannot live up to the 4K gaming fantasy, noticeable fan noise under load, and only a 1-year warranty. Skip this if your main goal is heavy AAA gaming or GPU-intensive work. Save your money for a desktop with a real graphics card or a gaming laptop. But if you want a tiny, powerful, mostly quiet little workstation that fits in your hand, the SER8 makes sense. Stay savvy, not sorry. If this review saved you from wasting money or helped you find something actually worth buying, I have put the link to check current pricing and read more reviews in the description. And hey, if you do decide to buy through my link, it helps fund these deep dives without costing you anything extra. Drop a comment with how you would use a mini PC like this living room setup, travel rig, or office workhorse. And let me know which mini PC you want me to tear down next. Hit like, subscribe for more no BS tech reviews, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. This is your resident tech investigator signing off. Stay savage out there.